So I have an app. How do you hack it?
Cool. So most of what I do and most of what I show in this talk is motivation. So I talk about how people get motivated to hack applications and what they do. So one of the examples was a very known example by now, which is Pokemon Go. Everyone's playing Pokemon Go, and some people didn't want to play it the way it should be played. The premise of Pokemon Go is you walk around, you catch Pikachus. What some users found was that they didn't have to walk at all, and they could still catch Pikachus. They managed to hack the application and get access to the server. So now they built little arrows inside the application where you can move around without actually moving around. So you can move around the game without actually moving around. So obviously the motivation here was to try and catch Pokemons. But I also use a great example, which is a favorite of mine, which is beer. So someone managed to hack an application to get free beers.
How did they do that?
So what they did was they found out there was a loyalty applications that every single time they went to a pub or they went to a bar in Poland, they would get a stamp on the application. Okay? They found out how the stamping process works and everything, and how the application communicates to the server. When the application communicates to the server, they managed to get hold of all this information, and now they could replicate it. With that, they would get stamps on the application, and every 5 stamps, they would get a free beer. And they managed to get many, many beers with this. The developer who actually hacked disappeared, so he's not been blogging, he's not been doing anything, so I think he's just drinking beer right now.
So for anybody who wants to try and get themselves a free beer, how do you go about hacking? How do you start looking at the vulnerabilities in apps?
Yeah, I think you should start with your own apps. So the intent of my talk wasn't to get people to become hackers. I am not a hacker myself, and I say this very clearly, I'm not a hacker myself. What I was trying to do was I was trying to learn how hackers think and what hackers do to actually hack applications. I'm a mobile developer, and I don't want people to break into my applications. So my motivation was I want to see what they do. And if I learn that, then I can maybe show some other people how to do it. So I'm not trying to show people exactly how to hack, but I'm trying to show people how to not be hacked. And the best way I found to do it was go into my own applications, try and find vulnerabilities. There are many, many websites, there are many things on the internet that shows you how to find vulnerabilities. And I also run a website that shows you how to start hacking your own applications.
So it's really hacking in order to increase your own security.
Yeah, it's basically hacking for your own good. So I don't want to say your own benefits, because I don't want people to feel like they're hacking because they want to get something out of it. They're hacking their own applications so no one else gets the benefits of their applications.
Your own penetration testing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So I talk about ways in which you can secure an application. I talk about ways in which you can steal information from an application and things you can do so this information doesn't get stolen.
What are the kind of first things that you should consider when you're looking at the security of your app? Maybe the 3 most vulnerable areas.
The most vulnerable I find is having keys stored in your application, like authentication keys, for example, stores in your application.
So in the local device.
Yeah, because this is the biggest difference between websites and mobile devices. On websites are running on a server.
Yeah.
Mobile applications, they're running on the device. So it's in your hands, everything is there. So if you know how to get access to it, then you will, if you want to. So storing keys in application is the biggest no-no ever. So just try not to store any keys. There are ways you can go around it, such as storing keys on a server, storing keys on different places, but don't have them inside the application. The other thing I talk about is make sure you obfuscate your code. So if someone is to get access to your code and someone is to decompile your code, they shouldn't be able to just read it. And this is one that is super common, and most people say, when I tell them, they go oh yeah, but this is obvious. And then you go look at the code and it's not obfuscated. So this is a big one for me. Just make sure that your code is not vulnerable. Make sure that your code is unreadable. It should be readable by you, but not readable by anyone else that decompiles your application.
Okay, so we've got never store public keys on your app, and make sure you obfuscate your code.
Yeah.
Are there any other kind of major pointers?
So I always tell people, hack yourself. Try and hack yourself. Seriously, just try and break into your codes as much as you can. Because obviously, when you're building something and when you're thinking about testing, you're thinking about the happy path. Try not to think about the happy path. Try putting yourselves in the shoes of a hacker and think about what they would do. And like I said, there are so many resources out there that show you what hackers can actually do. So hack yourself is
The advice.
is the advice there.
It's great that there are websites with advice out there, because I always find when I'm testing something that you don't always think that people will use things in the way you expect them to. Why would anyone do that? That's stupid. And someone always does it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I think this is the great thing about like quality assurance people, like having QA inside your team, having QA working with you, because as developers, we always tend to think about, yeah, this is how it's going to work, and it's so great, and no one's going to enter like a weird symbol where there should be only letters. No one's going to do it, except that people are going to do it, and users are going to do it. Like, sometimes they're not going to do it maliciously. Sometimes they'll just do it. So having like quality assurance inside the team is very important, in my opinion.